Welcome back, brothers and sisters. Braden, Tim, Second Legacy. You are amazing, and thank you for tuning in. We have got to follow up on this here Bumpstock situation. I'll tell you what, the lefties are out there losing their collective minds. We're going to walk you through a few of the things today of why this is actually not world-ending, and yet they still seem to think it is. We've got a few responses. We've got some very interesting videos Tim pulled from the internet. This is going to be one you guys are going to love. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notification bell on. And with that, Tim, sarcasm and humor fully deployed. I don't know if we're going to pass the last conversation we had, but we're going to try because setting goals every day for the 2A. This bump stock thing, Tim.
Yeah.
Oh, they're not happy.
They're losing their minds.
Cranky.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Well, I think it's a lot of it's election year antics, right? They gotta pretend like they're really upset about something, and
no, they wouldn't.
It's just like the last time around with the whole abortion thing. The Roe thing got thrown out, and then
wow, you saw a correlation.
Yeah. And then the Republicans didn't fare so well in the midterms, and then now they're going to try to use this for the same.
Why not do it again? Yeah. Oh, well, maybe we have some examples for the people. I think we've got some pretty good ones here. Yeah, we do. Let's first of all, let's just show you the level of, what this is. This is number one. I think you brought this forward. This is Giffords. Is there something you wanted to specifically point out here on their post?
Yeah, there's a couple of these posts they made the other day after the news came down. And this one, ignore the pearl clutching. Just look at the image. Bumpstocks convert semi-automatic rifles into machine guns and have no place in our communities. Well, first of all, no, they don't, which is why the Supreme Court threw it out.
That's not true.
But then take a look at the image. They are struggling to figure out what a bump stock even is. And what it looks like, there's just a standard M4 stock with some sort of a bar underneath it. Nothing. They're struggling to understand. Better yet, let's get a close up of this, because they made another post with this illustration. Here it is. Sign the petition. Tell Congress to ban bump stocks. And here's a close up of their bump stock. What is that?
To me, I thought it looked like an AT-AT foot from Star Wars.
It could be. We don't know quite what that is, but this is their idea of what a bump stock might be. Now, they're calling these machine guns, which is absolutely epic, because the whole reason the Supreme Court threw the ATF rule out is because they are not machine guns. They don't meet the statutory definition of a machine gun. If it had, then the SCOTUS would have just made a different decision, right? They are not machine guns,
right?
Because the trigger gets pulled every single time.
Correct. It's so funny, dude. And beautiful people of the Second Legacy, as we get into this, particularly this next clip we're going to show you, you have to understand what just happened with the left. And this is really, really important. In my opinion, this is why it's so important to actually zoom out a little bit and look at the pattern of what they've done. So earlier on, the left decided that these things were machine guns because they didn't like the rate of fire. Had nothing to do with the statutory definition, had nothing to do with any type of laws, Congress, judicial. No. They just decided that they were machine guns. And even in their nomenclature and in their language in these decisions and in their arguments, they even said essentially a machine gun and like a machine gun, which implies, of course, that it's not a machine gun. So what they did was they relied very heavily on emotional arguments of, this is clearly a machine gun. We have said it's a machine gun, so therefore it is a machine gun. And we'll get into Sotomayor later, where she kind of screwed him forever. But then when the statutory definition came down, just like we said the entire time, this does not meet the definition, and the judicial's job is to interpret congressional law, all of a sudden they made machine guns legal, even though they are clearly not machine guns. And the entire time we were telling them this is not going to work this way, and it ended up destroying the power of ATF. I mean, literally, this could not have backfired more, and now they're out here doing this with the emotional arguments, which make zero sense in a factual reality at all.
But they don't need sense. They don't need facts. All they need is propaganda, and that's what this decision's given them, right? So we're in an election year, and the Supreme Court makes this decision, so they're going to run out there and scream, the Supreme Court, the radical Supreme Court that's unbalanced, just made machine guns legal, folks. And they know it's a lie. They absolutely know it's 100%. A lie, but it's great for propaganda, and the fence sitters that know absolutely nothing about guns, kind of like, Giffords and their stupid little illustrations of whatever the hell that is. They don't.
The AT-AT.
Yeah, they're scared of things they don't even understand. But if they go out there and scream machine gun, well, then the lay people on this fence are going to go, oh my gosh, these crazy Republicans are making machine guns legal. If these were legalized machine guns, then you could literally own a machine gun. But that's not what they did.
But you can't,
because there's still that whole NFA law sitting around from 1934, and in 1938 and 1968. We got a whole bunch of these laws, but the
them,
NFA originated in 1934. But they didn't undo that. They didn't make literal machine guns legal. They're legal if you pay a tax. But we don't want to get into the Title II. We're not going to go back to that.
No, I can't do that again. I don't know if my heart can take laughing that hard again. God in heaven.
Anyway, so
oh, that was a great one.
So anyway, that's what they're doing here, folks. They know full well these aren't machine guns, but if they say it long enough and loud enough, it's exactly what the war machine, the propagandist war machine of World War II. I won't say the name because we don't want to get blacklisted by the algorithm. Exactly. But that's exactly what they do. You say the lie enough times, repeat it enough times, people will start to believe the lie. And that's what they're doing here. This gave them some propaganda they're going to make full use of. But the reality is, and this is what politicians are going to have to discuss in this election year, is like, no, folks, they are not machine guns, and the Supreme Court literally just interpreted the law as written and applied it as they're supposed to. They literally did their jobs with no political spin.
And backhanded the ATF, I would like to say. They also backhanded the ATF, which was by far the main focal point. That was like the main thing. It's not the piece of plastic, it's the ATF. Like that is such a key point. But we'll get to that in a second. We've got a video that Tim brought forward. So to supplement the point, before we get into some of the actual language that was used in the opinion, Tim, you brought this forward as CNN trying to explain to the leftist what a bump stock is, because they can't explain it. That's the funniest part about this whole thing. They don't do the drawings right. They don't explain what happened. They don't even explain the statutory they explain nothing.
Well, maybe an animation will set the record straight.
You know what? You're right. You're right. Maybe it is. This is number 3. Let's get it. I mean, like,
wait. It gets better. Wait till they put it in the shoulder here. Hold on. It looks like a sex toy. It doesn't look like a gun.
I'm already ready.
Look, here it is. Here it is, folks.
Yep, there it is.
There it is.
Not a bird alive is safe. And you know that, Tim, every gun that has a bump stock has a M203
a suppressor and M203 grenade launcher, because that's how it works. It's that.
Yeah. Well, it's the counterbalance. That's exactly right. You got to hold on to something in the front to really give you the counterbalance for the action in the back. I mean, like, that was some crazy action. So, I mean,
basically, all you have to do.
I don't know whether to critique it or get around.
Exactly. No, I ain't gonna make. I'm gonna leave that one right where it lays.
Let it lie. Let it lie. Basically, I said aroused, and we got away with it.
All you have to do, folks, is just put a spring behind your M4 stock. Between the stock and the buffer tube, and you've just, there it is, right there.
I love how Dr. Slides is just playing it just to goad us. He's told, like, no, they can't resist. Oh, we're gonna resist, because I think there's a quota of things we can say that are questionable in a week.
Lordy,
but
that's just
let's go to something really dry.
Okay. I wonder if there's a gerbil in that stock.
No, there's not. There's definitely not.
Okay.
If there is, there'd be like a hamster wheel kind of situation.
That animation's awesome.
I want to. And the animation's incredible, but from the still animations to the actual animated animations, they're still wrong. Like, he still did it wrong.
Yeah.
But be afraid, because machine guns, every time every time you fire a bump stock, the gun does an undulation like this.
we don't know what they are, folks, but we're big mad they're legal.
But we're real angry, real angry. Do you see that undulation, man? It's like hips don't lie, but for firearms. Anyway, let's get into this. I want to show you something here, Tim. This is number 4, much drier, much safer to talk about than what we just did. This is from the actual opinion that St. Thomas wrote. I'm sainting him. I think he's arrived at sainthood now for the gun world. But I want to hit this little green part right down here. For many years, the ATF consistently took the position that semi-automatic rifles equipped with bump stocks were not machine guns. They didn't say that in all those posts, which was weird. ATF abruptly changed course when a gunman did what he did. We know that. The ATF subsequently proposed a rule that would repudiate its previous guidance and amend its regulations to clarify that bump stocks are machine guns. I love clarifying in the use of the ATF. We're going to clarify and do a complete 180. Right. No, clarification is like we used 223 wild instead of 556. Right. There's a difference.
We called it pink, but it's really magenta. That's a correction. That's a clarification.
That's a clarification. Not turns out we had this stance. Now we're 100% 180. Yeah,
they are not machine guns, folks. You can buy all you want. Oh, wait, let me clarify. They're machine guns.
Right. And SCOTUS. Yeah. But that's the thing. And before I show you one or two more things here, the entire point that we said for years was that they can't go down the statutory language issue in the ATF interpreting all these different new rules by changing those definitions because they usurped Congress. And a video that we're going to do a little bit later today, I mean, literally, man, the ATF comments on this, I don't know if you've seen them. I'll show them to you in another video if you haven't. But it is comical. I mean, they are flat out now saying, well, now that we've usurped the power of Congress and violated the separations of powers, we're going to go ahead and expect that Congress work with us to do this the proper way. And it's like, I don't like y'all.
Yeah.
I don't like y'all.
Well, here's the good news, right? So it's not just the ATF doing this stuff. This goes back to something we've railed against for, ever here on Second Legacy and on our own channels, and that's Chevron deference. And basically what that means is that these bureaucracies are set up like the ATF, EPA, FAA, just pick your favorite three-letter alphabet agency. And when Congress passes a law, Congress has gotten lazy over the decades. And so they leave all these holes in the laws because nobody wants to sign their name to something that's too restrictive or changes things too much. So they just leave these big gaping holes in their law. Well, then they hand it down to the regulatory agency tasked with the implementation of the law. And they say, oh, and you can interpret this however you want. So if it says the sky is blue in the law, ATF can go, well, we've reinterpreted this.
We're going to
and we think it's red
now.
We're
going to clarify.
Right. And that's just a clarification. So basically what these agencies are doing is taking these nebulous laws, and in some cases even clearly defined laws from days past, and then they're just redefining things. And their redefinitions make no logical sense. And they've been getting away with this for ages. And you were starting to see the ATF, I think, is really irking the Supreme Court with this nonsense. More so than others, because as we've pointed out before, the SCOTUS taking up gun cases happens once every 2 decades, historically.
Correct.
If that often.
Absolutely correct.
And here we have gun cases being accepted by the Supreme Court, one after the other. And they took on Chevron.
2 positive. Right.
This doesn't bode well.
And 2 positive wins in 2 years, dude. Yeah, right. I think that's worth visiting, just sitting on for a second. 2 positive landmark decisions for guns in as many years, and you're telling me we're not making progress? Yeah. I mean, that is unheard of.
Just going back to the Obama administration, right? Keep in mind that was unprecedented. We got Heller, McDonald, and now we have Bruin, and we have this decision from the Supreme Court. They've heard Chevron, and it's like there's so much that they're doing, and this is happening in a rapid fire, pun intended, pace.
Hey, I see what you did there.
And it's really quite telling where the Supreme Court's head is in this and how agitated they are by the shenanigans being pulled by these agencies. They're going to shut them down. And this, in my mind, is a 100% crystal ball as to where they plan on going with this. Crystal balls. I keep 2
crystal ball. Yes.
Kind of reference one.
I know you've got 2 of them, and I know that one's a backup. They really provide total clarity into what you're thinking of, especially after use. I know, I get it. I mean, dude, between the CNN animation and that, I think we're really complete on our pushing the limits on this one. I mean, listen, I think you're right. I think your crystal balls are correct. But I want to say one more thing. Actually, 2 more things. We're not even close to being done.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, because I want to highlight this. I want it on the record in Second Legacy for the beautiful people. This part right here. This is let's see, what number is this? I don't even know what I am off my rocker. We're number 5. All right. Listen to what he said. This is Justice Thomas at the end here, and going to your point with the ATF overreach. This is in the actual opinion. ATF argues that a shooter using a bump stock must pull the trigger only one time to initiate a bump firing sequence of multiple shots. This initial trigger pull sets off a sequence, fire, recoil, bump, fire, that allows the weapon to continue firing without additional physical manipulation of the trigger by the shooter. This argument rests on the mistaken premise that there is a difference between the shooter flexing his finger to pull the trigger and pushing the firearm forward to bump the trigger against the stationary trigger. That's just legalese, or that's just technical, okay? This is the payoff. Moreover, ATF's position is logically inconsistent because its reasoning would also mean that a semi-automatic rifle without a bump stock is capable of firing more than one shot by a single function of the trigger. Yet, ATF agrees that is not the case. Yep. ATF's argument is thus at odds with itself.
Yep.
That is a big one.
And we've been pointing that out forever, right? My biggest problem with this whole bump stock thing, I was making shirts years ago saying it's not about the stock, stupid. What this is about is ATF overreach, and the fact that the way they were trying to classify bump stocks as machine guns left the door wide open for every semi-automatic self-loading firearm on the market to be classified as a machine gun that's readily convertible.
Absolutely.
And that's why I made all the videos of me bump firing without a stock. People say you can't bump fire from the shoulder. I'd bump fire from the shoulder. People say you can't. Yes, you can. And you don't need a stock to bump fire. And the danger is, just like without a bump stock or with a bump stock, the trigger's getting actuated. It's being pulled every single time. And if you say, oh, well, just because you're firing it too fast, it goes from a mechanical definition to a rate of fire definition. Well, if you go over 280 rounds per minute, even briefly, well, we're going to go ahead and call that a machine gun, even if you have a really fast trigger finger.
Right.
Jerry Mitchell would be sitting in prison right now if we went by rate of fire, because he can fire a revolver faster than I can fire an AR-15.
Exactly right, which is inhuman, by the way. And the last thing I want to throw out there is something that Sotomayor gave us as a beautiful little gift and a very clearly emotional response. Did you see this yet?
Yeah.
What she said in her dissent, where she said, where she literally called semi-automatics common use and commonly available. This is number 7. He did so by affixing bump stocks to commonly available semi-automatic rifles. Ooh,
thank you.
That sounds a lot like the Heller common use, doesn't it?
Thank you.
Why, thank you, Sotomayor. You are wise and sage in your words and your dissent. She's like, I'm going to get them.
She accidentally stepped on our wee-wee on that one.
Oh, man. Well, we're going to leave that one alone. You can wrap us now, though, before we get in trouble again. That's all I got.
Yeah. Well, I mean, come on, folks. The reason this is so stinking important, what she said here, is because we get into the whole common use argument, which if something is commonly available, as she stated right there, then the Second Amendment really protects that.
Really.
So she just made our argument for us in her dissenting opinion. In her dissent, she gave us an assent. Thank you, Justice.
Oh, I see what
you did. And thank you for watching Second Legacy.